Hello everybody, it's me Aman. Oh Jesus Christ. I'm a startup founder, entrepreneur, creative type person based in Tokyo, and I do these walking talks because I can't be bothered to edit while building my business and stuff. So I just put up these unedited, frank, real talk videos online on YouTube. Today I want to talk about imposter syndrome, right? And this is a subject that is very dear to my heart. The reason is that I have struggled with it, and in this video I want to share some practical tips for how to perform at a high level if you're somebody who is facing that right now. If you feel like you have to earn the approval of your teammates on a daily basis, and that you kind of have to prove that you were the right person for the job, and you basically in a state where you feel like you have to prove yourself, then this video is, I hope, something you'll find in this video will be helpful. Okay. Now, I'm somebody who has always tried to take on opportunities, jobs, projects, whatever, that stretch me, that push me out of my comfort zone, right? That challenge me. Things that I've never done before, things that are not easy. I do things because they're difficult, not because they're easy for me, right? And and I've realized that that's only in hindsight I've realized that that's actually not a bad thing. Number one, right? I am really grateful to have that trait, to have that characteristic, whether that's genetic or just I don't know where that comes from, but I'm glad I have it, right? And on the flip side, that comes with the crushing anxiety that you're barely scrambling. You're scrambling to barely hold on, and you're not sure if you're doing the best job. You're not sure if you're being a true asset to the team. Are you doing well, right? And often, if it's a creative type project, you don't even know what a good job looks like, right? Because in situations like these, if you're feeling imposter syndrome, usually the work tends to be a little ambiguous. So, there's no clear metric. Like, it's not like sales where, in sales, imposter syndrome doesn't matter because you either sell and make quota or you don't, right? It's simple. It's very numbers driven, very clear. But in many jobs where people do have imposter syndrome, usually the performance is not that easy to measure or define like success criteria, right? And these are the jobs and these are the roles, these are the kinds of projects where you tend to feel like an imposter, right? Okay. So what do you do? So what happened with me was whenever I was in a job like that, and I was in a job like that a lot, right? I turned into somebody who thought that I had to earn the approval and the validation of my colleagues and of my manager every single day, right? That I didn't have to that I just couldn't afford to embarrass myself. I couldn't afford to make mistakes. I couldn't afford to look bad or be found out that, oh, see, he didn't deserve this job. He's the wrong person. He should be fired, right? Being found out and fired was like, a recurring fear of mine back in those days. and I was in a survival kind of mode, like, oh, you know, I put myself in a situation deliberately where my back was against the wall, and now I have to fight my way through, right? My God. If you're somebody in that situation, I want to tell you something that you don't know, okay? Number one, you look like, if you're acting like that, right? And you're a needy, validation seeking, insecure colleague. Let me first tell you how that looks like from the outside, right? Oh, what's got it? You look like you are unreliable. Your teammates feel that they can't count on you because you're going to come back to them with more work, with more like, oh, check my work, or is this a good job? Did I do well? You know, even if you don't say those words, it comes across like that, you know, because you're constantly directly or indirectly seeking approval from people. Whether it's your body language, whether it's the expressions you make, the tone of voice you use, you're not very confident. And they're like, oh, this is dead weight that we have to carry through, you know, she or he is not a contributor, a real contributor that we can rely on. That's number one. The reason why you were hired for a role like that, which is a little bit on the ambiguous side, is because it requires a certain kind of leadership and decision making that's subjective, right? It requires some subjective decision making in that role. And so for you to constantly project this insecure, not validation seeking personality, that's not the real you, of course, right? You're in reality a more confident person, which is why you took the job in the first place. Is destroying, you know, the very brand that you're supposed to cultivate in that job, right? People want teammates who they can count on, right? And right now you're not being somebody that other people can see as an asset, you know, even if you were, right? Forget about whether you are or not. They're not. You're basically saying out loud, in a way, you know, figuratively, that you are not an asset to the team. And it's better to act like you're an asset and not be sure that you are, than to act and to declare that you're completely unsure whether you're an asset or not, because then by default you're not an asset, right? A commander of an army you're not a commander, but like a commander of an army who's like constantly insecure, like, hey, you know what, I'm not sure, I don't know, you know, I don't know, we might die, you know, is this a good job, is this a good strategy, like, for, you know, going out and fighting a battle? Like, would anybody trust that commander? Like, the soldiers would be leaving and deserting left and right and joining the other side, right? And that's the image you're projecting right now. Even if you might disagree, like, oh, no, I put up a strong face. Well, if you do that, that's good. But if you're not doing that, be careful, like, how you're talking and how you're thinking when you show up to work every day, okay, is what I would say. The other thing is about, actually, you know what, let's talk more about that. Let's talk some concrete examples. Like, what kind of tone of voice do you use when you're talking to your colleagues? Like, are you projecting confidence and certainty? Like, hey, Mike, that's how it's supposed to be done, and this is what I need from you. All right, can you do that? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Right? Is that your tone of voice? Or is it more like, hey, Mike, you know, about this thing, do you think you could do like that? I think this is probably a good way to do this, you know, whatever, pum. I mean, you don't have to be as, you have to be nice, but like, do you project certainty or do you project uncertainty, where you're kind of like asking that person to do your job or make the final call on your side, right? Oh, I think we could do this thing. I think that would be my suggestion. Well, nobody wants suggestions. They want to be told what to do, right? Especially when it's your job to tell them what to do, right? Or to give them the result, right? So when you're communicating, you want to communicate with confidence, all right? Now, that doesn't mean, now for the few people who are actually not even good at your jobs, right? If you feel like, oh, I'm actually demonstrably struggling and I'm not prepared for this role, there the insecurity is actually something good, but you still don't want to show it, right? You want to use this, you want to use the insecurity as a way to okay, so here's a mistake that people often make, and I've made this before, right? If you're insecure about your ability to do something, to do the job well, right? You tend to set your heights, you set your eyes on a goal that's too low, right? Oh, I want to get good enough to do the bare minimum so that I don't get fired, right? I can survive. You set your eyes on survival as the baseline for yourself. And instead of that, what I recommend you to do, if you're insecure, that's actually a really good position to be. Why don't you set your eyes at the best possible performance that anybody could give? Like, who's the best person at your job, right? What would an amazing person, an amazing professional at your job look like, right? Why don't you set your eyes there instead of just saying, oh, I don't want to get found out, I don't want to get fired, I don't want to get kicked to the curb. Like, no. Forget about surviving, right? If you're not good at your job and you have to set your eyes somewhere, you might as well set your eyes saying, what does the best person in this department or the best person in this job do, right? What would they do? What would they have learned? What would they deliver? Like, what results would they, deliver? You could read books like The Effective Executive. You could read books like High Output Management by Andy Grove, the former CEO of Intel. And books like that will give you a framework for how to, do your best, right? But I think I've talked enough about this. Like, basically, if you're insecure about and you have actual evidence to suggest that you're not good at your job right now, and you really do feel like you actually got lucky or something and they hired you, then don't make the mistake of trying to earn their approval, right? Try to earn their fascination, respect instead, okay? Trying to seek people's approval is a lose-lose game. Trying to earn people's admiration at the highest level is a much better game, where you're like trying to really blow people away, right? With every single thing you do. So, okay, I think I was pretty loud there. I got a little excited. But I'm outside, so, I guess, yeah. I was that foreigner just now. But, yeah, I hope you're still recording. Oh, thank God we are. Well, that would be my advice to you. I hope something here helped. It's not about motivating you, like, oh no, you're good. you were hired so you belong there. Like no, fuck all that bullshit, right? It doesn't work. If you feel like an imposter, you'll keep feeling like an imposter, whatever, right? All I can do is give you practical tips to manage your behavior instead of trying to address the root cause. Because the root cause, I don't know what therapy, whatever you need to do that, I don't care. So take these practical tips, manage your tone of voice, manage your behavior, act confident, act certain. And then if you get pushback, deal with the pushback. Push back yourself. Like, oh, no, I'm an expert. This is my job. I'm doing my job. Let me do my job, right? And if you're not really good at your job, if you feel you're not good at your job, then aim high. Aim for the best possible performance. Don't aim for like survival, right? And you'll be surprised how quickly people notice that you're a different kind of animal, right? Show up early, but see it in your head that I'm trying to be so good at this job that people are going to be blown away. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, man, he's good, he deserves to be hired. They're like, whoa. I need to step up my game. Other people in your team should feel like they need to step up. They should feel like an imposter, when they compare themselves with you and your intensity and your drive, basically, right? So anyway, that's the video.